This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com with a daily wrestling news update. Before I get into it, Jack Kilby already did an update on it earlier today. Davey Boy Smith Jr. is replacing Carlito at the Great North Wrestling event July 15th in Smith Falls, since Carlito is apparently going back to WWE and had to pull out of the event. So it will be Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Vipress, the former AEW wrestler, will also be on the card. But let me jump in to the news of the day. John Jones, who turned down, according to reports, at least $8 million Francis Ngannou turned down at least $8 million to fight John Jones in UFC. And Dana White tried to make the fight happen so many times. But Ngannou, who is now with PFL, ran into John Jones yesterday, who was, I guess, allowed to be at PFL to do an appearance. And Ngannou was acting like he still wanted the fight. And John Jones was like, you had your opportunity and you turned it down. You'd rather fight in PFL, but it's interesting, and I heard Dave Meltzer compare it to, like, this is the equivalent of Roman Reigns showing up in AEW and jaw-jacking with CM Punk, because PFL is below UFC, and Ngannou's the biggest star PFL has right now, even though he hasn't fought yet. And John Jones is the biggest star in UFC right now, other than Conor McGregor, who I don't know when he's going to fight again. Although McGregor didn't get a very good rating for his Ultimate Fighter this past week. It only did a 0.07 rating. He recently had some allegations against him related to allegedly sexually assaulting a woman. But this woman was apparently out dancing later in a club after her allegations of sexual assault. So take that for what it's worth. But she was caught on camera doing this. Apparently DNA tests are going to be done. It supposedly happened in a bathroom in a Miami Heat game. Speaking of CM Punk, no, I guess the ratings will come out tomorrow on Collision. It's going to be interesting because the Elite, like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega's contracts are ending soon. And now CM Punk is back in AEW, so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to go to WWE. I don't know how much money WWE is going to be offering now that UFC is taken over, if the offers are going to be less or what. But honestly, if I were them, I would go to WWE because it ended up helping the career of Cody Rhodes greatly. I'm not saying they're necessarily on the same level as Cody Rhodes, but I do think it would be good for them to go to WWE. For sure. Apparently, CM Punk didn't build towards any feud during his speech last night or the match. I watched the finish of the match. They put it on YouTube. CM Punk pinned one of the New Japan guys in the six-man tag match. Predictable, as you'd expect. Samoa Joe was also involved with CM Punk and FTR against Jay White. And I think it was Jay White that was pinned, Samoa Joe, and somebody else from New Japan who I can't remember his name. And yeah, I was looking at the crowd. It'll be interesting to see what the final numbers were, but it was nothing compared to his last return. Definitely looked like the hard camera side was blocked off, and the top level may have been blocked off even on the main side. It was said there was about 8,000 tickets out prior to the event. It's a 20,000 seat building. I'm not saying that 8,000 isn't good for AEW. I'm just saying it's not as good as last time. We'll see if CM Punk can build it back up. But as I heard Dave Meltzer say in his speech, he mentioned he took like a shot at the Young Bucks in this speech, but it doesn't look like he's going to be feuding with the Young Bucks due to the real life heat. It's probably not going to happen. So did he talk? Did they build anything with MJF? Not yet. CM Punk's holding a title. MJF's holding a title. It's bound to happen, but nothing was worked towards on Collision last night. Wardlow was defeated by Luchasaurus, and it's clear AEW does not do any type of steroid testing. I'm not saying either of those guys are on it, but there's some pretty big guys in AEW. I know WWE allows TRT. I don't know what, if any, AEW's testing are. I don't care if there is testing or not in wrestling, to be perfectly honest. But to my knowledge, from what I heard about the AEW contracts, is they're theoretically allowed to test, but there's not like as much testing as there was at one point with WWE. I don't know what the testing with WWE is now. I know after the Benoit killings, there was a lot of heat on them because at that point they had dropped their testing. There was a lot of wrestlers on huge amounts of steroids, so they tightened it up a lot, but that was so long ago now. They may have loosened things up. Apparently, it's going to be the Usos against Roman Reigns and the other Samoan guy at Money in the Bank. Solo Sakai or something. One of you guys can correct me. But it's funny that Roman Reigns hardly defends the title, and now they're putting him in a tag team feud. I mean, and creating another world title. It's just, it boggles my mind why they don't like have a title match in Money in the Bank. Solo Sikoa. Thank you very much, Tom.